be for next weekend's adventure. Today, we are going to have now our final match of the day. Fnatic and Gamers2 got to be playing for these seeding points, and it's going to be somebody going home very happy because they will have that first seed and the breaking rights as well. So, Dragonshire, Garden Terror, Cursed Hollow, and Haunted Mines are all out of the equation. Blackheart's Bay or Sky Temple. Experience tells me it's probably going to be the Sky Temple. But I would not be amiss for a Blackheart's Bay whatsoever. But no, it is going to be the Temple in the Sky. C'est la vie. And that will be, I guess, Fnatic's first pick, I want to say, since we had the last pick here from Gamers2. Yeah, it will be the Fnatic first pick there. So, Sky Temple. Fnatic have already played on this map, and they took it very convincingly up against LDLC. What are we going to see? Well, if it's not a ban on top of Illidan or Jaina, I want to say Tyrande or perhaps Zeratul. Stitches is definitely still ban-worthy. We've seen actually a multitude of bans here in this current patch, but it could go either way here for the first round. If Fnatic gets first pick, and they do, and it's going to be a Jaina still available in the draft, I highly suspect we're either going to see Illidan, Jaina, or Zagara as the first pick material here from Fnatic, but they have a little bit of time here left to figure that part out as they keep thinking about it. Got to weigh your options. Gamers2, I don't exactly know what the bans were last round. Perhaps their manager was watching, though. And Gamers2, ain't known for anything. They did just win out with a hammer, which is very heartening to see. I love my Sergeant Hammer play. Very saddening to see sometimes that it doesn't work. I don't have anything saying that the ban is, or that the draft isn't working. So I guess to just continue thinking about it. Fine, be that way. I'm just talking to admins to find out, is this actually still a good draft? It is. Fnatic just really wanted to debate about it. So good to see. Heroes draft, of course, doing amazing things here. A free tool for you guys to use out in your own tournaments. Yeah, have not actually seen it any bugs this week. Very good to see. But you always get a little curious when the first pick takes up 2/3 of your pool time. My goodness. Gamers2, they know what's up. They're saying, Shinobu, you're not getting past us today, brother. Lost Vikings, man. My goodness. So we got the Jaina ban out there from Fnatic, so they're not willing to give it up, or they're not willing to allow Gamers2 to get it. If they had the first ban material for Jaina, that means I also don't want to run it here on Sky Temple, which means they perhaps had a different kind of idea. But now with that Lost Vikings ban coming in, Shinobu has to be playing something else. So will Fnatic go for an Illidan comp? They very well could with a Tyrande pickup. It's a very safe first pick. She didn't make it through the bans this round. Could easily go into protect Illidan, protect Hammer, protect Zagara, protect the specialist almost in that case. But Gamers2, they're going to respond there with an ETC, so they got their tank right off the bat. This could be a dangerous situation. If they don't pick up a Rhaegar or a Tassadar, they might be landing into an Illidan Rhaegar comp from the flip side. Of course, Gamers2 might also say, well, we like our Sergeant Hammer. This would be, ETC is a fantastic front line for a Protect the Hammer comp. But they're up against a Tyrande already. So that's a little discouraging. It's not a deal breaker, just discouraging as a Hammer to go up against that. They don't have to deal with a Jaina. So the unload from a Jaina and a Hunter's Mark is not there. But they are going to just solidify with the backline of a Vala. All right. So Fnatic still has choices here. We've been seeing a lot of Diablo, Chen. There's the Illidan. Is this going to be a Rhaegar or a Tassadar to go with it? They already got the Tyrande. Could easily go with a Brightwing as well, or a Lily. I mean, all these, there's really no wrong way to build a support for an Illidan, but it will be the Rhaegar support preference. So Fnatic get themselves not only the Tyrande, but the Illidan Rhaegar. That's not good news here for Gamers. If Gamers doesn't pick up the Tassadar, you could actually see the triple support from Fnatic, and then likely a Zagara. You can't do Vikings anymore. Zagara or Tychus? Falstead? Nazebo. Nazebo with the Gargantuan. Maybe we'll see it win a game. You never know these days. Gamers2 still has a few options up their sleeves, though. They could easily go into a Hammer. They got the front line of the ETC, and a Vala Hammer backline will absolutely shred an Illidan with enough control, and now control is afforded to them with the E2C and the Uther combination. That's a lot of lockup for a dive comp from the Illidan. This also means that there's not going to be any kind of shields on top of that Illidan. In fact, Uther very likely to go for a Divine Storm if he has to deal with a dive comp. But what else will gamers go for here? Will it be the Zagara Ma, Zeratul Void Prison, Nazebo to go to the back line, Sergeant Hammer to go to the back line, Tychus to go with the back line? All of these are valid options at this point. But will Gamers2 go for the double DPS in the back? Will they go for the double support? Having only the Uther, I mean, the Ghost form is cool and all with the flash of light. A lot of heals can be afforded that way. But a double support Illidan comp, would you go for the overkill with the damage? Just so much damage that the Illidan or whoever you catch will not live? Or are you going to go for a bit more of the sustain? They're thinking about it. They got a lot of pool time left available to them and only really 2 turns to use it. So it's a very crucial pick right here. Could it be a Malfurion? Spread the love with the Tranquility. Spread the love with the Silence instead. Silence and Storm. It's a heck of a combo. But it will be the Zagara. So they do go for the backlines. Oh, it is going to be the triple support. The Tassadar Arthas comes out immediately from Fnatic. I think Gamers2 is in a little bit of trouble. The triple support, Illidan, Arthas. Arthas is going to be slowing down everybody. He's probably going to go into the ghouls. He has himself a lot of self-healing. It's going to be virtually impossible to kill out not only the Arthas, but the Illidan. We might need another giant killer here. We might need a third DPS on the back of this for Gamers2. Who has giant killer these days? The Tychus, definitely, with an Odin. That could definitely work. The Falstad. Nazebo is likely out at this point. The Sergeant Hammer, definitely with that. This is also bad news for the Zagara as well, because not only do we have Oracles and Psystorms from the Tassadar, but we also have the AoE, the really cheap AoE clear coming out from Arthas with that Tempest? No. Well, with his cold damage. I'll go with that. Gamers2, as I said, I mean, is this going to force their hand into a lot more DPS? Are they going to go for another frontliner, another support? Are they going to try to, fight healing with healing and just hope that their damage in the back can deal it out? Could a Stitches work here? Stitches with Bile. You're going to have an Arthas, a Rhaegar, and an Illidan in and around majority of the time in your melee. It will be the giant killer. It will be the triple DPS. They got the Siege Sisters. Gamers2 with the Sergeant Hammer Zagara. I wonder if they're actually just going to go for a push. Big push strategy, perhaps. But Fnatic will be on the blue, and it looks like Gamers2 will be on the red. Just going to make sure the team names are good there, but why did I click on that one? Team red. Yeah, all right. We should be good on that front. Then you also need to move me here. So, Fnatic has a really strong dive comp. Arthas, Illidan, and 3 supports. They're going to have Hunter's Mark from Tyrande. 3 sets of healing wards available to them, if they so choose. Tassadar shields, the Rhaegar burst, the Tyrande bully. There's a lot of ways to go with this. And it's on Sky Temple. It's a big map. Sky Temple on contest the point kind of strategy here. Fnatic can almost contest any point at this round, especially as they get later and later into the game. They can absolutely just go in and contest if they can get into that back line. It's going to be up to Gamers2 here. Will EDC go for the mosh pit? Will it be the stage dive? The global presence could definitely afford itself well, but there's 3 melee and very little stuns. It's really going to be up to the Tyrande in the back to try to make sure that a mosh pit doesn't work. Is there any other way to get him out of that? There's no other way to interrupt it here on the ETC. We don't have a lot of hard CC available to Fnatic. Just that 1 stun there from the Tyrande. Everything else is slows and body blocks. Vala, Zagara, Sergeant Hammer. Their positioning is going to be massive. They absolutely need fantastic positioning on the back. They only got the ETC and Uther for the front line. They have to hide behind that. And even then, with that Hunter's Mark, I mean, Uther's going to be maxed out on his healing repeatedly. going to just have to, try to keep up this ETC, keep himself up as well. Zagara will be able to just delay some of the fights here with the Maw. And then Sergeant Hammer with, I suspect, just the regular build that you're going to see time and again from Gamers2 of the Giant Killers. I mean, I fully expect to see it out of the Sergeant Hammer. Would we see it out of the Vala? Would she actually sacrifice that slow? Because if she does, we're likely not to see Executioners. But if we do, could actually be double Executioner comp. No. Maybe. I don't know. There's a lot of meat to get through here from Fnatic. The Blood for Blood would be great in terms of like the single target damage, but you only can get it on Vala. Executioners on the Frost shots, especially on Sergeant Hammer and a Vala, they might be able to shred through. They don't have a Hunter's Mark, but they do have to deal with the triple support. So this is going to be tough from either side. If Fnatic gets some fantastic dives, well, it could just be game over. I mean, we saw game number 1 in our semifinals. Fnatic won in 13 minutes, almost 14 minutes. That's a very quick game. They didn't drop a single death. They dropped a quarter of a death, if I recall. Just very strong overall. Just giving these guys the heads up. So they should be ready to go. We are into the lobby. Me and Happy Zerg are both here as well. So we should be able to get this game underway in just a moment. But, I mean, Gamers2 coming off a 2-0. They got to be feeling good. Fnatic, very quick 2-0. So they're feeling absolutely fantastic. Which other way can this go? And this is only game number 1. This is a best of 3. So even if this doesn't work for Gamers2, they still have a little bit of breathing room. They are going to be able to pick the map for game number 2. Fnatic, however, I mean, if they lose with this Illidan Arthas triple support comp, not entirely too sure what to think about that. Like, it's very hard to find a situation that they'll lose. Illidan overextends. The Rhaegar, the Tyranic gets caught out. The Arthas is just, he's the only one up from them all. Like, there's a lot of ways the gamers could make this work, but Fnatic is a really good team. It's hard to tell. Hard to tell. What are they waiting on? They're waiting on one person to get in here. There it is. There we go. Nicker is now in. So, guys, we are about to start the Alienware Enter the Storm Cup number 1, Qualifier number 3 finals. This is for seeding points. Both of these teams are moving on to the April 11 and 12 grand finals for their chance at a share of $3,000 in cash and then prizes supplied by Roka. It's a very exciting time for these teams because, I mean, the prize pools in Heroes are getting bigger and bigger. We're getting more and more sponsored teams out there. Team Liquid picking up El Nexo, Complexity picking up Barrel Boys. More and more of these big names are coming back or entering for the first time into Heroes. And now with these big tournaments that are starting to pop up. I mean, Gosu already has announced Cup number 2 after this. I mean, the Heroes of the Dorm is going on. That's free tuition, which is hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially for some teams, because there's a lot of tuition on the line. American tuition is not cheap, let me tell you. What are some of the other big ones? I mean, Kings of the Storm is still sitting around. ESL just did their majors, $8,400 prize pool, I believe, right there as well. A lot of money is now starting to flood into Heroes. So this is the best time to start getting into the beta, best time to start practicing with your teams, entering these tournaments, getting this competitive experience. And you can do all of that next weekend in Qualifier Cup number 4. Signups will go live this week. Grab your friends, come on in, face some of the legends of Heroes, learn a little bit in terms of the drafting, the game presence, get into that competitive atmosphere, because you can, it goes a long way. I mean, the champions of tomorrow are born today, more or less. And I mean, there's one point when Temple Storm was nobody. They didn't have any competitive experience. They, except maybe Arthalon, nobody else had really big experience in MOBAs. And now look at them. I mean, they practiced, they played, they got into as many tournaments as they can, and now they're widely regarded as number 1 in North America. Did they win last night in the ESL majors? Not actually sure. I'm not going to spoil it. But their track record still stands. Complexity coming in, picking up the Barrel Boys. I mean, they went 7-0 in their finals. I expect to see them next weekend here in the Qualifier Cup number 4, putting forth their best foot forward here into the EU Cups. I have no idea what we're still waiting on. These teams are just refusing to start. So No idea. Who else is out there? I mean, Team Liquid has now picked up El Nexo. It's hard to call them kind of like the champions of tomorrow because they have so much competitive experience under their belt. That I mean, they're cool as a cucumber. When it comes under pressure, they are there. They might actually be widely regarded worldwide as number one. Them against some of the more North American teams that I'm a bit more familiar with would be an absolute pleasure to watch. But there's always the ping issues. There's always latency to be bringing into that. So yeah, perhaps it won't happen yet, but El Nexo has quite a few StarCraft bros. Evil Geniuses has a whole bunch of competitive guys under their belt. But I mean, a lot of these others, some of them don't even have any experience except that what they've gained through Heroes of the Storm. So hit up qualifier number 4, guys. Enter these tournaments. Grab your friends. I mean, there's almost no reason not to. If you want to play this game competitively, well, you got to start somewhere. So try it for some teams, get into the competitive mindset. It's definitely a blast. It's always fun to cast as well, fun to watch. I mean, this game is so spectator friendly. It's absolutely amazing that we're given these opportunities. One of these days, this game will start. One of these days. Now they're talking about strats. They're waiting on Ace of Spades. Sure. All right. Super secret strats coming out of Fnatic, guys. Force Wall and Bloodlust. If they actually go that'll be funny. Shadowstalk Bloodlust. There you go. G2 Joe, they know what's up. Prepare your Nidus. Ugh. Go for the hammer build with the bullet bill. I think we're just killing time at this point. So just as a reminder, guys, that's your draft. Fnatic up against Gamers2 for this eventual game number 1. One of these days. One of these days. I really, again, just really like the Fnatic lineup here. If you take a quick look at it, I mean, the triple support, Arthas in the front, Illidan to be diving. I mean, God, that just synergizes so well for a Sky Temple map. I mean, you got to all in on points at sometimes. You got to go for the Mercs. You might even see some roaming comps, a little bit back and forth of ping pong between the top and the middle lanes. The Tyrande Arthas, I mean, you catch anybody with the Howling Blast, Tyrande gets him, and then you have Illidan finish him off. We might be able to see that. Who would be soloing in the lanes earlier on? I suspect Tassadar might be into the bottom, perhaps Arthas into the mid or Illidan into the mid. We don't really have a huge amount of push from Fnatic earlier on. So Gamers2, I suspect, are going to try to punish that. They have 3 range damage. We only have really the Tassadar and Tyrande there from the Fnatic. So not exactly the big, early game push from Fnatic, but they're definitely looking for their strength in team fighting. Illidan's only going to keep getting stronger and stronger. We're going to get Archons coming up from the Tassadar later on. Tyrande, with the Hunter's Mark, is good at all levels. I think we're putting out a all points bulletin on Ace. Ace of Spades is nowhere to be found. I wonder if an AFK timer would kick in. Oh, apparently I spoke too soon. There we go. Game has started. Let's get into it, guys. Game number 1, Sky Temple here in our best of 3. Fnatic and Gamers2. Gamers2 is actually a fairly new brand. I want to say they got picked up last month, the month before. I'm pretty sure it was this year. Fnatic, a little bit more of an older brand. They've been around for years at this point across multiple titles. They have StarCraft crowds, Dota, LoL, CSGO. That's an esport on the rise. Say that one. But we're finally into it. I don't know what happened to Spades. I don't know if he's there. All right, he is. It's good. But we got the boys in blue. Oh, that's fun. That actually looks glitchy. Either way, the boys in blue here from Fnatic once more. Freds, Kessel, Ace of Spades, Shinobu, and the Illidan into the bottom lane, played by Lowell. They came off a very quick 2-0 victory here in our semifinals. We're going to have to see what they can do here into our grands. But on the flip side, team that I'm getting more and more acquainted with, G2, Gamers2, Joe, Leo from Korea, Nicker, going to be into the top. Saichu and ADRD going to be holding down the bottom lane with that Zagara. So it is going to be an Illidan into the bottom. Illidan against Zagara, well, probably expect some heavy pushing coming up from Zagara. Not really too much to worry about, but at least Illidan will have a little bit more luck clearing out some of the creeps, or these creep tumors, I would say, than some of the others. Arthas, of course, can easily do it as well with his Howling Blast, with his Tempest. It's all good. Ace of Spades to hold down the top against this double range DPS comp and Leo from Korea. Likely not to work. We did this last time. Kessel and Freds, they sat down at this bush. G2 ADRD is not going to get hit by any of that stun, and he will live to see another day. Somebody was watching the last game. Freds and Kessel did that exact same thing up against whoever their previous opponents were. LDLC. I could not get that out for some reason. So they are going to be trying to roam, and roaming they will. They'll find Saichu here, but unfortunately he's too close to the gate, and that will not be a kill. We got the temples now spawning up. It's going to be the tower death. Ace of Spades cannot do anything against the Vala and that Sergeant Hammer. We got the 4-man collapse here from Fnatic on top of the watchtower, and they're going to go for this mid. Saichu is there. We have a little bit of a duel of Lol and ADRD in the bottom, and we still got the double range DPS top. So Shinobu is going to soak, but it should be the point going pretty much immediately over to Fnatic, and it does. It's now going to be Joe into the top. So very likely they're just going to trade this back and forth. I mean, I don't expect too much else to be happening. Everybody is soaking. We actually got Nicker now still pushing in. Second tower down. Good amount of experience going their way, but despite those towers, we're actually just even because we got these towers mid now going down as well. So it might be that top lane pressure coming out really big from Nicker and Joe, but it's just setting up here for this top point. And the top point, believe it or not, they might actually lose out the fort between this. How many shots we got left? Good 10 shots? Yeah, it's going to be a quick fort. That's really impressive. Flip side, no quick fort for Fnatic. In fact, it's going to be their top roam kill, or the top roam, but Illidan had apparently killed out the Zagara bot, and the Hydralisk will take him to town by the end of it all, and Joe not going to get hit by the Howling, will get hit by the stun, but a nice protective shield there from Leo from Korea, and Joe will live to see another day. The bottom lane kill on both of them, that's rather funny. So, kills and kills, one of each. Couldn't move. Leg is now going to be blamed as the issue here as the gank comes into the top. Kessel goes right forward and goes right down. Tyrande, not entirely too sure what she was looking for there, but man, the turnaround, the double range DPS aspect of the Sergeant Hammer and Vala is actually rather frightening early game, especially if you're a squish. And Tyrande not only didn't have the hit points, but she doesn't really have the mobility to kind of deal with that either. Ace of Spades had apparently gotten a good confidence boost. Sergeant Hammer was a bit too far forward, perhaps didn't have the thrusters ready to go. Gets the kill there. 2 for 2, going back and forth. We do got Protective Shield and the double wards coming out here from the triple support comp on Fnatic. I'm curious that it's actually the Protective Shield. And they didn't want to go for the triple wards. I mean, the Taskmaster has the shields anyways, so I guess shields on top of shields, it's never a bad way to go, so to speak. We got the static charge after the Conjurers. The Conjurers will keep the Taskmaster shielding the Illidan as much as he can. Static charge, a little bit of extra damage coming out from Shinobu. Should lead us into a fairly safe second charge at 16, or second strike, so we'll have to see what comes of that. G2 ADRD is just not going to live through that. Not with a gank from behind. I mean, Zagara is just way too immobile for that. We do got the beginnings of the multi-shot with the composite and the arsenal. Searing attacks at level 7. It's curious. It's different no matter what team you have. Whoever picks up the Vala these days almost always has a different level 7. I've seen, I've seen the searing attacks. I've seen caltrops. I think those are the two popular ones. I have seen one of the other options there as well, but man, that lack of battle momentum is no longer a unifying factor. Party Bush is here. Fred's is going to go in. He has that triple Frostborn Hungers build coming out, and 80 already is the big target once more. Low, however, even with these triple supports, is going to melt. There's something to be said for Nicker and Joe in the backline with that DPS. And that's why they took it. That's why they need it. In order to break through this triple support, they're going to need all the damage they can get. And you can see the CC train starting here on top of Nicker. He has that first aid though. Spades gets really trapped between all 14 members of Gamers, and he will go down. So that's 2 kills nil in that exchange, and that will be the bottom shrine going overall pretty much exclusively there to Gamers2. This won't kill the fort, but it will take down the gate, and that will put us at 10 now as we're about to hit that heroic stage. And here they come. It's going to be the strafe. It is going to be the storm, so we're looking for that control. Blow up the Illidan is kind of the name of the game here today. Mosh Pit is enabled. So it's just that one stun from Tyrande. If we can get a Mosh Pit after the Lunar Flare, or you get her in the Mosh Pit, there's really not too much else that they can do about it. So it will be the Mosh Pit and the Maw. So the Maw into the Mosh Pit combo is alive, gents. 80 RD. If he can set that up into a Maw, we got the Divine Storm to go with it as well. So much control afforded to the G2 lineup. And I mean, we saw this coming. The early game is fairly weak here for Fnatic. They got the triple support, the Arthas, and the Illidan. Illidan is not invincible earlier on. He's only going to get stronger, which means that, whoa, here comes the Maw. Here comes the stun. Leo from Korea, 1 and 2. Where's the Mosh Pit? Here it comes, Saichu. Gets Kessel, gets Threads on that. Shinobu not looking so hot. There goes the Illidan as well because he doesn't have the support. And that is one beautiful combination of skills right there from G2. The Maw picking up 2, led beautifully into Leo from Korea, which then Saichu was able to pick up the last 2 stragglers. Illidan down, Rhaegar down, nearly getting the Task Star. The bottom is clear, and now the mid is about to be as well. That will be all 3 forts for Gamers. So we'll have to see, can they keep up this aggression? It is still fairly early in the game, 7 minutes in. They do get that tower at the end of it. They're looking for 13. But can Illidan and Freds outscale the damage components and the damage output available to Gamers2? If they can, you're going to start seeing level 13, level 16 team fights going the way of Fnatic. If they can't, and they continue to lose out more of these early game fights, Gamers2 might just pull too far ahead. Their ranged DPS comp on the back of these stuns are just so far doing a massive amount of work this early game. We got a lot of creep camps now going back and forth. Red gonna get the bruisers top, blue into the easies. We got shrines, 1 top, 1 bottom. We don't have any heroic timers. Okay, well we have the ancestral. We got the strafe ready to go in the Divine Storm, but we're still 30 seconds out from the Mosh, 3 seconds from the Devouring. We can do a Devouring into a Storm. And I think Fnatic knows that they're at a pretty big disadvantage. Their timers are just coming up, and they're level 11 compared to the 13. I think Spades is going to be okay, but Fnatic's saying we don't want to deal with this level 13 comp. They're not 13 themselves. They're down that talent tier, and Shrink Ray for the Illidan is massive. There's the Giant Killer on Sergeant Hammer. It is going to be the Frost Shot. I fully expect to see Executioner there. Gamers2 loves the Executioner right there. But a quick boss, quick temple. This is looking good for Gamers2 still. Level 14, we're still not there for the fighting potential on Fnatic. But the farther that we get this experience up, I mean, there goes the fort. No, that wasn't a fort. Did they get a keep? No, they just got these towers. All right, that was the big jump in experience there. And now they got a boss pushing up, and they're already setting siege with their siege sisters, with the Vala. They're looking for this keep. In fact, I think they're going to get this keep. That's going to put them at, what, just over 15? Just over 15. There we go. We got the 13 talents. This is likely the best chance that we have to take a fight right now before this game ends from Fnatic. 9 minutes in, we're pushing core. That's a very healthy boss. Ace, far off to the left. No idea what he's doing over there, but he is going to be dead in the water. That's 1 support now down. The Maw goes off to the side. Shinobu's going to come in with that arc on the mini Illidan, just not doing work. There goes the Arthas in the midst of that, the mosh pit. Tyranno's going to drop now as well. core down to half. The boss is dead, but nobody from Gamers2 has fallen. And Fnatic gets this comp flipped on their head, and they are not given a chance to prove that end game potential with that Illidan comp, with the triple support, and a 10-minute win, 16-13 by the end of it. A little bit of talk about lag. I cannot say